Welcome to the High Rise Podcast, presented by Headset, the leading data and analytics company for the cannabis industry.
So Emily, back from a nice long Thanksgiving weekend, I hope. Did you have a nice break?
I did. I got to spend Thanksgiving with my siblings. And I don't know, for anyone who knows, I have a niece. Her name is Beatrice. And I was pretty obsessed with the fact that she not only knows who David Bowie is on site, but is now singing most of the lyrics of Ground Control to Major Tom. So that pretty much made my Thanksgiving. How about you?
That is unbelievably cool for a kid
Yeah.
of that age. Well,
She's
well
almost
done.
3. So that's, I think, pretty incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, pretty low key over here. Did a Friendsgiving dinner, so no family, no travel. This weekend felt like a lot of leaf raking, which is kind of new. I'm kind of new to the Pacific Northwest, and in Southern California, you don't do that very often, but it's definitely the fall kind of vibe. The situation where I raked leaves on, I think it was Friday, and then by Sunday, it was just as bad, right? It's just like this
Ugh.
perpetual, yeah. But,
No.
there's something to be said for it. So, yeah, that was my weekend, but pretty lazy, thankfully. So yeah, not a lot going on.
Raking leaves is a good workout. So, working through that Thanksgiving dinner.
There you go. That's one
But
way
you know
to
what?
put it.
But I mean, I grew up in Buffalo. We used to work out by shoveling the driveway all
The
winter.
snow,
So,
right? Yeah, that's true.
yeah. But you know what people didn't do on Thanksgiving?
What's that?
They did not go buy weed. And that's for
Oh,
sure.
you saw our report. Yeah, that's
I
right. Green Wednesday, is the big holiday. We had a holiday episode where we talked about kind of sales, 420 being the biggest shopping holiday in the cannabis industry, followed by Green Wednesday. So the Wednesday before Thursday. And, it's very much the case again this year. So we pulled some numbers here at Headset, and on Green Wednesday, sales were up almost 50% at 48% versus the same periods in the previous 3 weeks. So we take the previous 3 Wednesdays ahead of the Green Wednesday, blend them together. What's kind of the average Wednesday look like, and what does Green Wednesday look like? It's almost 50% sales increase, which is great. Followed up by Thanksgiving, which was down 65% versus an average Thursday. So not a lot of people buying cannabis on Thursday. Everyone's stocking up Wednesday, possibly for the deals, possibly for travel, possibly because they're just tied up, at Thanksgiving dinner, can't get to the store. But yeah, the sales are up for sure on Wednesday, down significantly on Thursday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I did see, though, that because this week had been known for the deep discounting that goes on, but Green Wednesday saw lighter discounting of just an increase of 6% versus Thursday and Friday, which was up. So that was about a 19% discount rate. And then Thursday and Friday were 22 and 23%, I think, respectively. And so, I guess that rhymes with the broader commerce world with the, Black Friday and the discounting that went all the way through to today, which I've got to close out some of my shopping carts before today ends with Cyber Monday. But, I think it's just a reminder that, we've been watching the post-pandemic trends around getting back together. And I know the broader world was seeing one of the peak travel days that has seen definitely since before the pandemic. So people were on the road. They were with family for the first time potentially in a while, and with a lot of people potentially for the first time in a while. So it's not surprising to me that Thursday, especially this year, was quite sleepy. It'll be interesting to see how these trends continue as the years go on. But yeah, nice to see that Wednesday had a peak moment.
Yeah, and that's a good call about the discounts. You're right; it does mirror what you'd expect, especially on the Friday after. But yes, it was only a minor sales lift. So I think people really stock up on Wednesdays. So I think it just really points to a behavioral situation where people are, stocking up and maybe traveling, right, and going, and they buy enough on Wednesday to not have to go back on Friday. But it is, I mean, I remember when we first learned about Green Wednesday, just kind of, it's just a surprising holiday. Maybe the same could be said for alcohol. I don't know. Have you heard anything? I've never seen a Green Wednesday equivalent for alcohol, but that might make sense.
No, I do know that alcohol in general just goes up right, like starting, I think, the week before Thanksgiving and all the way through until January when then dry January kicks in. But I think in general, I think the holidays weighs heavily on people. And I think that alcohol consumption goes right along with, goes up
Yeah.
right along with that. But, it's interesting. I was up in Sonoma County in Healdsburg, which is really pretty area of Sonoma. And, went to some of my favorite wineries where I'm a wine club member, and they were all remarking that it was actually a really quiet weekend, which was surprising to them because the last few years have been busy. I don't know if, people were kind of staying in and spent and doing their holiday shopping on cyber or going to the mall and hitting those, I'm curious to see more of the broader consumer data around this. But as today ends and tomorrow becomes Giving Tuesday, anyone listening, this is Giving Tuesday. It's Tuesday morning, but I am curious to see that. But I was wondering if this is starting to be just like shifting behaviors as we're seeing people continue to kind of feel the pressure around spending.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to watch that. And I know, yeah, cannabis doesn't necessarily mirror alcohol in that way. But yeah, it'd be good to kind of see. That is an interesting note that alcohol sales just continue to climb all the way through the holiday season. And I'm not sure about just like Q4 in general and sales. We'll have to pull that. It'd be interesting to see if it's kind of same parallels. But I feel like cannabis does really well in like the summer months too. So different there, which is good. It's a different thing.
Yeah, and I think I like watching how these different form factors have different thrusts around spikes in sales, like you were pointing out. And I think that thinking about what is more discreet is, I believe, the word the headset report used. Like if you're with family and there's a lot of kids around, people aren't really smoking with kids in the room anyway, smoking anything. So thinking about more discreet form factors if you're in mixed company and consuming cannabis, if you're making choices over alcohol, it's interesting to view these different form factors.
Absolutely. So another Green Wednesday on the books, another sales record, and I'm sure we'll see the same thing happen next year. But I wanted to touch on another kind of news item that just came across. And it has to do with Nevada consumption lounges. And so this is, again, something we've covered and we've talked about. And frankly, I'm pretty excited about. So I thought we'd touch on the news and maybe you and I could speculate a little bit about what this might look like going forward. It is pretty unique to Nevada. And, anytime that I see something unique in this category, I don't know, I just want to talk about it. So the big headline is
Yeah.
that the regulators in Nevada are going to run a lottery for 20 independent cannabis consumption lounge licenses, with these lounges to be licensed and able to open during the first half of 2023, which is just right around the corner here, right? I don't know if within the first half could mean January. I don't know how long these things will take to build out, but that's pretty quick. And the big key kind of takeaway here is these are independent cannabis consumption lounge licenses, and this is something that is pretty unique. There were over 100 applicants that went for this. They're just picking 20. But what makes independent, I don't know, so unique, and why I'm so excited about it is that there's no retail in the sense of like traditional retail or traditional dispensary, right? It's only on premise, like you can buy it, but you consume it. Like if you're going to a bar, right? You're buying the alcohol and you're consuming it. Going to a restaurant, you're buying the food and you're consuming it. And that's different than having a retail associated with it, which I think can really start to show some unique kind of exciting models. Frankly, like I'm really excited to just see what people are going to do with these licenses.
I couldn't agree more. And I think about what Vegas does well which is experience, right? And cannabis, as we've talked about many, many times, is a great pairing with experience. And so if you're going to see music, you're going to see a show, you're going to anything that the mind can imagine. That, I mean, Vegas blows my mind in every way every time I'm there because of the things that they've managed to manufacture and engineer. And so I'm really excited about it. I agree with you. And my good friend Sarah, I'm hoping to have her on the show soon. She talks about, how we have to reframe the way we think about the lounge experience and hospitality and that aspect of the cannabis industry, because it is different. It's like the difference between a Starbucks and a, music venue where it's like the Starbucks, you kind of buy it. Usually it's transactional. You're on your way out, and then or sometimes you sit in the in San Francisco, you don't really sit in the Starbucks because it's generally a pretty war torn environment in this city these days. You get it to go. But in the world where hospitality has thrived, and Vegas is just the epicenter of this, I think you create it as a part of something bigger. And maybe it is just about socializing too. I mean, we always have fun finding unique spots to hang out, like Frankie's or whatever, when we're in Vegas or karaoke. I think this is going to be a great proving ground for what cannabis hospitality and lounge and, fine experiences can really look like. So I'm excited. And I think there's a lot of imagination around it. It's kind of the opposite of, what we were talking about last week with maybe cookie cutter storefront
Oh,
experience.
right. In
This
New
is
York.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, can you imagine the variety of offerings we're going to see in these lounge experiences? I'm
I
thrilled.
know. I know. That's why I'm so excited. I mean, certainly there's going to be some that are like just way out there in like a strip mall that, like where am I kind of thing. But I think there's a real opportunity to go pretty big here. And I remember when Planet 13 first came around, and that was the whole premise, was just like this big facility selling
Yeah.
more, having more variety, bigger, bigger, bigger. There's an opportunity to do that, right? To create like this iconic kind of flagship consumption lounge that everyone's talking about. And there's obviously opportunity for a small hole in the wall place as well. But I mean, that's exciting. But what I'm really excited about is like that big experience, the one that
Mm-hmm.
everyone's talking about, the one that is on all the taxi cabs, in the city, the one that pulls in people from out of town that they've heard of this, and that exposure, right? And kind of going and having a good experience there, and then hopefully bringing that back with them and saying, okay, I went to Vegas and I went to a consumption lounge, and it wasn't a dispensary that had a side room or something. It was a purpose built for experience, like to sit there and enjoy and hang out. And maybe we'll see more progress to that end in this industry. I mean, it's been so locked down in a lot of ways, like in the model, like, and so I get a little frustrated when I see like a new store open up and it looks almost like an adult use, and it's like medical, and there's like a lobby and you got to wait and you're sitting there for 15 minutes before you can even talk to somebody. And it's like, I don't like that kind of retail. I mean, that's rare retail, right? Like you want to go into an Apple store and browse the products. You want to go into a Total Wine and like look around. And if you need help, you find somebody and get help or whatever. But this kind of like this playbook of, well, this is how we always did it with this like lobby, and you sit there and you do this. And I still see a lot of that. And I don't know, I want to see innovation. I want to see like progress. And I think that Nevada's taking a pretty big stance on saying, yeah, let us run this. Let's show you how this is done. They've talked about, other consumption lounges don't offer food, beverages, or other entertainment options, but there's going to be a one-stop entertainment shop to create jobs, grow the industry, boost our economy. And that was in an op-ed for Marijuana Moment. The governor said these things. Now, I don't know what that is. Are they really going to have food? I mean, in LA, there was that one, I think for a little while, that I don't think is around with food. Are they still around?
I think
Lowell's, or
they
used
might.
to be Lowell's.
Yeah, it was Lowell, and I think then it became the Cannabis Cafe. And there are more coming in that West Hollywood area, but I think again, it's very limited in the types of form factors that you can have it within the confines of the restaurant. So I like that they're already saying we're not going to try to limit this. We're going to try to make it an expansive and inclusive experience, because that's what we're here for. I think, that's one of the things that excites me the most about this too, is that it does provide a platform for brand and form factor experimentation. Because like, let's say you want to open a retail and you go into the Headset dashboard and you're like, what are the top selling form factors and products and flavors? And at least you can stock your shelf with the like staples of what people will be coming in to get. And then as our industry has been capital deprived, it's not reached so experimentally so much into new branding and consumer experiences around products. But I think that these lounges are perfect platforms for that kind of experimentation, because it's kind of like, I can make, well, no one should eat my cooking, but I can make food at home. But when I go out to eat, that's when I'm going to try new things, because someone has curated that for me. Someone's bringing that. It's the same thing as I make the same, type of margarita at home when I'm consuming alcohol at home. But like if I go to a bar, then I'm curious to see what the bartender's point of view is on especially if they have a strong cocktail or mixology program. I think this is going to be a great platform for expanding our experiences in the different categories and what the brands can bring to the table.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's what's so exciting about it. So the other rules are consumption must be hidden from public view, which is, I guess, no outdoor seating or something. And smoking and vaping must take place in a separate room or lounge or be prohibited entirely, which is, good if you're not a smoker, you don't want to sit in the smoke or whatever. Vape may be less intrusive, but still, I could see that argument. And single use or ready to consume cannabis products can't be brought off site. So you got to consume what you buy there. Again, which will, to your point, like formats and form factors, there's going to be some that just work better in that type of situation. And the funniest point I thought on here is that businesses must provide water to every guest free of charge, which I don't know if like, is that, it seems like that'd be like a restaurant rule. I've never been to a restaurant where they've said, oh no, we can't provide you water, right? When you just ask for water, but maybe, I don't know, maybe if they don't explicitly call it out, like they do with restaurants, potentially they have to say it. So I thought that was a funny one, especially given water prices at, other consumption lounges and what you have to pay for just a bottle of water. So interesting that was called out specifically.
Yeah. Well, I think that's good. When I was younger and I would go out with my friends and, we'd rotate being designated drivers, I used to be mad that they wouldn't give you like a sparkling water for free at the bar. Like I always thought they should
Yeah,
encourage people who are not, or that are driving, to not drink. But I like that they're just kind of like, let's keep people hydrated.
Yeah, right.
It's a
No
good
notice
move.
of sparkling water in the legislation, unfortunately, but
Well,
maybe we can talk to somebody and see if we get that changed.
yeah, is it that comment period? Can we get sparkling water?
Yeah, it might be worth calling somebody.
All right. Well, here's the big question. Is there going to be a poolside lounge with cannabis consumption?
The big answer is absolutely. And even if there's not a pool, I think we go and we do a poolside session because I want to see them again. I'm excited about new stuff like this, like new formats. This is interesting. This is novel, and to experience it firsthand would be great. And we do know a few people that are involved in this space. It would be great to interview them in their element, which will be, I think, really cool to see. And how cool for them to be able to see this stuff finally come into fruition as well, right? All the work behind the scenes that goes into these things to get this to where it's at. But poolsides for sure. So look forward to that. Or I'm maybe telling myself, not the listener. I'm going to look forward to that. And yeah, some interviews with people that are in this area. But I'm excited to report back, and let's hope that other states can start to do this as well, right? And I would love it. I mean, in Washington here and Seattle, we still don't have like home delivery. We're so far from that world that it's a little frustrating. But hopefully, this proves like pretty innocuous and good for everybody. And I think a great idea. You go to Nevada, you're traveling, you're visiting, you're buying cannabis, but you can't consume it anywhere like legally, right? You can't, not in the hotel, not on the street, but of course everyone's consuming it everywhere. So like provide these things, right, for people. I think that it's very logical. I'd love to see more states do it. And like the state that has consumption lounges at any level like this, I think would be Minnesota, where it's completely independent from retail. They're not selling the product. They're just putting it on their menus, right? They're not lounges, they're restaurants, obviously, and they're beverages, but still, that's like the closest thing. It's crazy that Minnesota is leading the charge in that capacity with all these other states. So really excited to see what happens, and really excited to get to that poolside.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Thanks for listening to the High Rise Podcast, presented by Headset. For more information on Headset, visit headset.io.